Have you ever noticed how obsessed we are with predicting the future? We have 5-year plans, quarterly projections, weather apps, stock market forecasts. We are constantly trying to lock down tomorrow.
It's the human condition. We crave certainty. But it's funny you start there because the text we are looking at today, specifically from Proverbs 27, opens with a direct challenge to that anxiety. It says, "Don't boast about tomorrow, for you don't know what a day may bring." It's a reality check right out of the gate.
It feels less like a warning and more like a relief, honestly. It's almost saying, stop pretending you're in control. But does that mean we just drift? Because later on, the text talks a lot about knowing the state of your flocks. That sounds like planning to me.
That's the tension, isn't it? And that is where the wisdom lies. There's a difference between stewardship, knowing the state of your business, your family, your flocks, and arrogance, which is presuming you control the outcome. The text draws this fascinating line between being prepared and being presumptuous. One is wisdom, the other is a setup for disappointment.
Speaking of setups, I found this section on relationships to be, well, brutally honest. We usually think of ancient wisdom as flowery or poetic, but this is gritty. Specifically, the part about friends and enemies.
You mean, better is open rebuke than hidden love?
Exactly. And the famous line, the wounds of a friend are faithful, although the kisses of an enemy are profuse. It completely flips our modern social etiquette on its head. We usually think a good friend is someone who supports us unconditionally, who validates us. But this suggests that a true friend is the one willing to hurt you. Constructively, of course.
It's the difference between being nice and being kind. A kissing enemy is someone who flatters you while you walk off a cliff. They value their comfort over your safety. But a friend who wounds you? That takes courage. It risks the relationship to save the person. It connects to that other metaphor everyone knows but rarely thinks about deeply. Iron sharpens iron.
Right, so a man sharpens his friend's countenance. We use that phrase on coffee mugs and inspirational posters all the time. But have you ever actually seen iron sharpen iron?
It's not a gentle process.
Not at all. It's loud. There are sparks. It's heat and friction. It's actually a destructive process. You have to shave metal off to get a sharp edge.
That's a brilliant observation. If your friendships don't have friction, if there are no sparks, maybe no one is getting sharpened. You're just two dull blades clinking together. And the text contrasts this with the loud neighbor. Did you catch that part?
Oh, the one who blesses his neighbor with a loud voice early in the morning?
Yes. It will be taken as a curse. I laughed when I read that. It's so specific. It's that toxic positivity, or just a lack of social awareness. Someone performing friendship rather than embodying it.
It's amazing how specific the psychology is in these chapters. It moves from interpersonal dynamics to internal psychology very quickly. There was a verse in chapter 28 that felt like the plot of a psychological thriller. The wicked flee when no one pursues.
That is one of the most profound descriptions of guilt I've ever read. The wicked flee when no one pursues, but the righteous are as bold as a lion. Think about the energy it takes to run away when no one is chasing you.
It's paranoia. It's looking over your shoulder.
Exactly. It implies that the punishment for doing wrong isn't just external, like getting caught by the police. It's internal. You lose your peace. You become a fugitive in your own life. Contrast that with the boldness of integrity. If you have nothing to hide, you don't flinch. You don't have to remember which lie you told to whom.
It reminds me of the section on leadership and corruption. The text paints a chaotic picture of a land in rebellion having many rulers, but stability coming from understanding. It feels like a comment on how corruption creates complexity.
Complexity is often a hiding place for dishonesty. When a system is corrupt, or when a leader is wicked, the text says people hide themselves. But when the righteous rule, people rejoice. It's about transparency. There's a very sharp critique here of the get-rich-quick mentality, too. Chapter 28 mentions, "He who hastens to be rich will not go unpunished."
And a stingy man hurries after riches and doesn't know that poverty waits for him. That's ironic. The harder you grasp for it, the more elusive it becomes. It seems to suggest that wealth should be a byproduct of something else, like tending the fig tree, rather than the primary goal.
Whoever tends the fig tree shall eat its fruit. It's an agricultural metaphor, but it applies to everything. It's about process, patience, and attention to detail. The hasty man wants the fruit without the season of tending. He wants the exit strategy without building the company. The text calls that a fantasy, and it warns that chasing fantasies leads to poverty.
There's also a heavy emphasis on the eye in these chapters. A man's eyes are never satisfied. It links back to that greed. It's like we have a hole in our soul that we try to fill with visual cues. More stuff, more status.
And that connects to the mirror verse in chapter 27. Like water reflects a face, so a man's heart reflects the man.
Stop there for a second. What does that actually mean?
Well, in the ancient world, they didn't have glass mirrors. You looked into a still pool of water. If the water was agitated, you couldn't see anything. If it was still, you saw your face. The proverb suggests that if you want to know who you really are, you don't look at your bank account or your reputation. You look at your heart, your desires, your reactions, your flocks, your relationships. Your life is reflecting your internal reality back to you.
So if your life is chaotic, it's because your heart is chaotic?
Precisely. If you are constantly fleeing when no one pursues, that's a reflection of your heart. If you are surrounded by flatterers instead of honest friends, that reflects your inability to handle truth. The outer world is just a printout of the inner world.
That's a tough pill to swallow. It puts the responsibility squarely on us. Speaking of responsibility, we have to talk about the fool versus the wise man regarding emotions. Chapter 29 says, "A fool vents all of his anger, but a wise man brings himself under control."
This is so relevant today. We live in a culture that often validates venting as a therapeutic necessity. We say, I just need to get this out. But the wisdom here suggests that getting it all out without a filter is foolishness.
It creates debris.
It does. It stirs up strife. The text says an angry man abounds in sin. It's a numbers game. The more you let your temper run loose, the higher the probability you're going to say something destructive. The wise man holds it back. That's not suppression. That's regulation. It's the difference between a dam generating power and a flood destroying a village.
It ties back to the idea of vision or revelation. Where there is no revelation, the people cast off restraint. If you don't have a long-term vision, a bigger picture of who you want to be, you just react to everything in the moment.
Yes. Restraint requires a reason. You hold back your anger because you value the relationship more than the moment of satisfaction. You tend the fig tree because you value the harvest next year more than the sleep you want right now. Without that vision, we just become animals of impulse.
I want to circle back to something that surprised me. The text talks about the poor and the oppressor having something in common. The Lord gives sight to the eyes of both. It feels like a great equalizer.
It is a radical statement. It strips away the socioeconomic barrier. It says, at the fundamental level of human existence, the ability to see, to perceive, to be conscious, the billionaire and the beggar are identical. They both receive their light from the same source. It's a check on pride for the rich and a reminder of dignity for the poor.
And yet, the text is very clear that how you treat the poor determines your fate. He who gives to the poor has no lack, but one who closes his eyes will have many curses. It's almost like closing your eyes to the needs of others blinds you to reality itself.
That's the paradox of generosity. The logic of the stingy man is, if I keep it, I have more. The logic of wisdom is, if I give it, I enter a flow of blessing. It's not just magical thinking, it's about the kind of community you build. If you ignore the poor, you build a society of desperation, which eventually comes back to bite you. Remember the verse about the ruler? If a ruler listens to lies, all of his officials are wicked.
That's terrifying. It's a top-down infection.
It is. If the person at the top signals that truth is optional, or that flattery is preferred over faithful wounds, then every middle manager and official adapts to that standard. The system rots from the head down, but the reverse is true. The king by justice makes the land stable.
Stability seems to be the ultimate goal here. Not excitement, not massive wealth, but a kind of resilient stability, like the house built on rock.
Exactly. And that stability comes from knowing what is heavy and what is light. Remember the verse, a stone is heavy and sand is a burden, but a fool's provocation is heavier than both.
Oh, that's good. Physical weight is manageable. You can lift a stone, you can shovel sand. But emotional weight, dealing with a fool or carrying a grudge or jealousy, that is crushing. Who is able to stand before jealousy?
No one. Jealousy eats the vessel that holds it. It's the ultimate instability. So the path to stability is shedding that weight. It's choosing the open rebuke over the secret resentment. It's choosing the slow growth of the fig tree over the hasty riches. It's a very grounded, earthy kind of spirituality.
It really is. It's not about escaping the world, it's about navigating it without crashing. As we wrap up, I'm thinking about that image of the hay and the new growth. The hay is removed and the new growth appears. Cycles.
Life is cyclical. Riches aren't forever. The crown doesn't endure to all generations. But the grass grows back. The lambs provide clothing. There is a sufficiency in the natural order if we align with it.
So the question it leaves us with is, are we fighting the cycle, trying to boast about tomorrow and force our way? Or are we tending the flock, sharpening our friends, and letting the water reflect who we really are?
That's the question. Wisdom isn't just knowing the right answers. It's having the character to live in sync with reality. And that usually starts with closing your mouth, opening your eyes, and getting back to work.
A painful but necessary reminder. Thanks for walking through this with me.
Always a pleasure to sharpen the iron. If you have been blessed by this, please like, subscribe, and share this joy with others. God bless.